Welcome to 3-Point Conversion, everyone, for TSN 1150 and TSN1150.ca. I'm Marshall Ferguson. As the team gets closer and closer towards being able to lock in for their first preseason game of the year against the Toronto Argonauts on Saturday afternoon, today they looked at trying to score the ball. They were in a score zone session in the middle of practice, and it seemed like Chad Owens is a big-time target. Now, obviously, a lot of you Ticats fans out there, you're going to say, well, of course, Chad wants to score a lot against the Toronto Argonauts, and you can have that same conversation Labor Day and the Labor Day rematch this year, but he was catching a lot of balls in the score zone session today, and one of the best plays of the day was a corner ball that was from Jeremiah Masoli, who is named as the starting quarterback, by the way, of this team going into the preseason week 1 against the Argos. He threw a corner ball to Tyquan Underwood, just past the outstretched fingers of the defender, right over the top, perfectly 35-yard ball on a rope with an inch to spare, and it was a great throw. So Jeremiah Masoli looks fantastic going into the first preseason game. How many reps he will get remains to be seen. Looking forward to getting that answer on Saturday afternoon in Toronto. And also that big play, Chad Owens, man, he's got some quickness ability left, and he is a starting slot back right now as Speedy Banks continues to find his way into the suspended list until further notice. One of the best storylines to watch on Saturday afternoon against the Argos is going to be the center position, because you have Mike Filer out with that injury on his thumb. He's got a bunch of stitches down the inside of it. And so it looks like Matthew Girard is going to be the backup center. Of course, he was drafted by the Tiger Cats just a couple of years ago out of the University of Montreal. He's had a bunch of reps, and he's been very interesting to watch throughout training camp, because he's stepping into a role that I don't think he's had to assume before. You got to remember, before he came to Hamilton, Matthew Girard was a defensive lineman, and so he's learning on the fly here, and now he's getting starters reps. And getting starters reps against the Toronto Argonauts on Saturday as the starting center probably means he's going up against a bunch of guys that he's been against before, because there's a bunch of old Tiger Cats on that Argos defensive line. Whether Brian Bulke gets a bunch of time, Brian Hall starting, you can look down the line, Justin Hickman, he's going to know these guys, he's going to know their moves, and it might help him because he's being put in a spot that he hasn't had to be in before. But it could hurt as well, because they know him and they know his weaknesses. They've played with and against him before when he was a backup center for the scout teams against that starting defensive line. So a really interesting matchup to keep your eyes on if you're lucky enough to go to BMO Field. If you're not, hey, you're stuck with me on the radio telling you about it. And finally today, as we're just a couple of days out from that first game of the year. Why is it taking so long to just come? We just want to play football. Notable absences. I know everybody wants to know what the kicking battle is like. Today, Brett Maher went 6 of 6, including a 57-yard field goal to end off practice, which gave the whole team ice cream sandwiches, which was very nice of Ken Austin. When asked after practice what he would have done with the ice cream sandwiches if Maher missed the 6 of the 6, he said, I probably would have pulled them off the field. Cold-blooded. That's a cold-blooded man right there. But Brett Maher did very well today. He took all of the kicks. It was a maintenance day for Cody Mandel, so you can still expect to see both of them, I would think, in the preseason, whether it's in week 1 or week 2. Maybe they split it up. Maybe Maher gets all the kicks in week 1. Maybe Mandel gets all the kicks in week 2 of the preseason. Not sure how it's going to work yet, but Maher looked really good. The other noticeable absence on this second day here, leading into the other noticeable absence here, just a couple of days out from the preseason starting, was Cleachon Page, defensive back. He's going to make this team. It's not a big deal. He just got nicked a little bit. It's part of training camp. He's battling his way through. So you can expect to see him out on the field. We have an abbreviated edition of Marsh and Milton teed up for you. It's 6 to 7 p.m. following the Euro 2016 kickoff game on Friday. There is no 3-point conversion tomorrow. It's just a walkthrough, but there is going to be an abbreviated version of Marsh and Milton. We're going to make it basically a 1-hour pre-game show, because the pre-game show is 90 minutes ahead of the 4 p.m. kickoff in Toronto. But I'm going to give you my thoughts in a 1-hour show, 6 to 7 p.m. Friday afternoon. Check in. I'll lead you into the weekend, and we'll all get set for preseason week 1. For TSN 1150 and TSN1150.ca, I'm Marshall Ferguson.